I remember when every grunt and gearhead swore the M4 would outlive us all. Well, it's lightweight, reliable, America's go-to war stick for decades. But the game just flipped, and Uncle Sam's moving on to something meaner, heavier, and straight up smarter. What's up, y'all? This is Luke from Line 45, and today we're talking about the new M7 rifle and the 6.8 by 51 mil round that's about to change how the US Army fights. Trust me, the M4's retirement party just got real. Before we dive in, do me a solid, smash that subscribe, tap the bell, hit all the dang buttons down there. You don't gotta, but it keeps this train rolling and lets me crank out more of this wild gun talk for y'all. Alright, enough of that. Let's get back to it. Why the M4's time is up. Here's why I'm calling it. The M4's run is legendary, but the Army already put a date on the next chapter. In April 2022, the service picked SIG's XM7 rifle and XM250 automatic rifle with a 6.8mm family of ammo to equip close combat units, aiming to replace the M4A1 and M200 and 49 within that community. That's not a rumor. That's straight from Army releases after soldier testing and a full competition. Look at the context. The M4A1's been standard Army issue since the 2000s, with roots back to its 1994 service entry, and it did work from Fallujah to Kunar. But as near-peer fights, stretched engagement distances, and body armor got better, leaders pushed for a round that kept energy way past 500 yards and punches above 556. That operational gap is exactly what drove the next-generation squad weapon requirements and why the 6.8 program exists. Now the pivot. The M7 brings integrated suppression, smart optic pairing, and a 6.8 by 51 cartridge, built on a hybrid case that safely runs at 80,000 pounds per square inches. We're talking 135 to 140 grain pills around the 3,000 frames per second mark from military and SAMI data. More range, more retained energy, better armor performance with the right projectiles. That is the performance delta the Army is buying. And it's why the goodbye party for the M4 is more than marketing. One more reality check so nobody twists this. The first wave is close combat forces, not every clerk and cook, and the fielding plan is phased. Legacy M4s stay in non-infantry roles for a while, but the direction is locked. The Army moved from maybe to type, classified, production, contracted rifles and ammo. And that's the signal everyone's been waiting for. Meet the M7. The M7 is SIG's answer to everything the Army told industry it needed, and I've handled one enough to know it was built like a purpose tool, not a toy. It's a short-stroke piston rifle based on the MCX Spear concept, chambered for the 6.8 by 51 common cartridge, and paired from day one with a belt-fed brother, the M250, so squads get a matched fire package. Magazine pattern is SR-25 style, with 20 or 25 round mags. The barrel is shortish for maneuvering, but optimized for the hotter cartridge, and the whole gun is engineered to live suppressed and eat high-pressure ammo without folding under wear. Weight and balance matter more than flex on camera. The M7 comes in heavier than an M4 when you stack a can and glass on it, and that was intentional. The Army accepted extra pounds to get a 15-inch barrel that extracts usable energy at longer ranges and robustness to handle the hybrid case loads. That weight penalty pays dividends in terminal performance and service life. Recoil is a step up from 5.56, but the piston system and modern stocks tame it into something a trained shooter can still put on target fast. The sighting system is not an accessory. The program standardized a low-power variable fire control optic that bundles a laser rangefinder, ballistic solver, environmental sensors, and a digital reticle so the shooter can call a corrected hold without guessing. That turns a lot of long shots into first-shot opportunities and shrinks the time between spotting and hitting. If you think of the old M4 toolkit, this is the toolbox upgraded with sensors and software that actually matter in firefights. Suppression is a part of the rifle's baseline role, not an optional add-on for special units. SIG's can pairing and the gun's gas tuning keep back pressure manageable so crews can run suppressed for long missions. The M250 gives you a belt-fed sustained fire option in the same cartridge family, which simplifies ballistics and logistics inside a squad. Put it all together, and you're not buying one new gun. You're buying a new way for a squad to shoot smarter and farther. The real star of the show. The 6.8 is the reason this whole NGSW thing exists, and I'll break down the guts of it so you actually get why everyone's hyped. SIG's 277 Fury design uses a hybrid three-piece case, a stainless steel head mated to a brass body with an aluminum locking washer, so the round can safely push map levels up to about 80,000 pounds per square inches. That higher pressure is what lets a 135, 140 grain projectile hit stupid velocities out of a 16-inch tube, numbers you just could not get from a traditional all-brass 556 case. When you look at practical ballistics, the numbers matter. SIG and testing data show 135 to 140 grain hybrid loads in the 6.8 times 51 routinely run near 3,000 feet per second from service-length barrels, producing muzzle energy in the neighborhood of 2,600 to 3,000 foot-pounds depending on bullet weight and barrel length. Put plainly, that's roughly 2 to 3 times the muzzle energy of a standard 556 load, and much more retained energy at long range, which translates into thicker penetration and better performance against modern body armor when the projectile and velocity line up. People want to argue about whether that performance is worth the extra weight, and fair. The hybrid case hot ammo that hits the high PSI spec is not the only factory option. Commercial and practice rounds will run lower pressures to be safe in widespread platforms. But the Army's operational spec called for that high energy output to close the gap on armor and distance, which drove the rifle design, suppressor pairing, and optic package. If you want a round that keeps terminal energy out to 1,000 yards in a squad rifle package, this is the engineering path they took. I've shot a handful of the test weapons and felt the difference. It got more push, more bark, and a flatter punch down range. The takeaway is simple. The 6.8 by 51 mil trades pack count and lower recoil for much higher per round effect, enabled by that hybrid case pressure trick and modern projectile designs. That's the ballistic truth behind the hype, no cap. The trade-offs. This new kit straight up changes what a soldier carries and how they think about ammo. The M7 with a suppressor and optic comes in heavier than an M4, and the Army's planned combat load shifts from 7 30-round 556 mags to 7 20-round 6.8 mags. That's about 70 fewer rounds, and roughly 4 pounds heavier per soldier in basic ammo weight alone. Cartridge weight and recoil matter in the real world. The 6.8 times 51 hybrid loads run much hotter and weigh noticeably more per round than 556, so you simply cannot carry the same volume. Industry ballistics and testing put muzzle energy in the 2,600 to 3,000 foot-pound range for common 6.8 loads, versus roughly 1,000 foot-pound for typical 556. And that performance comes with significantly more felt, recoil, and impulse that crews and gunners must train around. Logistics and sustainment are the ugly but real costs. Lake City and other producers are ramping to make hybrid case ammo, but early production is limited and expensive compared with decades of 556 stockpiles. Magazine design, new suppressors, barrel life under higher chamber pressure, and maintenance cycles will all drive part replacement and armorers' work rates up. There are credible concerns about throat erosion and accelerated wear when you push to 80,000 pounds per square inches, and the Army has to balance replacement intervals and training tempo against the tactical gains. So what that means on patrol is blunt. You get better downrange effect and armor defeat, but you trade count, add weight, accept harder recoil, and lean on a logistics train that has to scale fast. I'm hyped about the capability, but I won't pretend the trade-offs are free. The Army is betting that higher per-round lethality plus smarter fire control beats carrying 3 extra mags. New way to fight. With the M7, we are actually rewriting how squads actually fight. Hit probability matters more than volume now, because the package pairs a high-energy 6.8 cartridge with a fire control optic that gives instant range, wind, and ballistic solutions, so a soldier can dial a corrected hold and engage a target at much farther distances than before. The Army's operational assessments and live fire testing show the NGSW family increases effective engagement ranges and accuracy for close combat units. Tactically, that changes roles inside a fire team. With the M7 and the belt-fed M250 sharing the same ballistics and the XM157 giving digital dope and a laser rangefinder, a two-man element can spot and suppress without calling for higher echelons as often. Squad leaders can push standoff, not camping at distance, but shaping fields of fire, so fewer shooters get first shot opportunities that count. The Army is running force-on-force and maneuver drills specifically to measure how these tools alter decision timelines and target engagement doctrine. Support systems matter as much as the guns. The XM157 fire control contract and program management show this is an integrated kit, not a part swap. The optic Ammunition, suppressor, and weapons are being evaluated together to set a new training, maintenance, and logistics doctrine. That means squads will train differently, leaders will plan differently, and sustainment chains will need to scale to keep units supplied with hybrid case ammo and service parts. I'm hyped about the capability, but the Army is clearly treating this as an operational concept change, not just a hardware upgrade. What it means for the future. All in all, I think the Army didn't buy a one-off novelty. They bought a whole kit built around a higher performance cartridge, and they contracted SIG for production back in April 2022, so this is planned, funded, and moving into units. From where I sit, the industrial picture matters almost as much as the rifle. The Army and industry have already broken ground on a massive 6.8mm ammo facility at Lake City to crank out the hybrid case rounds the program needs, which tells you they expect large-scale sustainment rather than a limited experiment. That plant and the production ramp are the things that will determine whether units see steady supplies or get stuck doing stopgap workarounds while stocks scale up. Last blunt note, and this one keeps me honest. The whole package is being fielded as an integrated concept, and that includes the XM157 fire control optic contract and the real-world soldier feedback on that optic during testing. The Army intends squads to use the round, the rifle, the can, and the smart optic together, but testing showed the XM157 has had mixed ratings from soldiers, which means training, software tweaks, and follow-on fixes are part of the rollout plan. So yeah, this is massive capability, but it will be a phased, real-world transition with production, logistics, and user feedback all shaping the speed and scope of how the M7 and 6.8x51 actually replace the M4 in the Force.